the sole focus is to get that need met. And I'm disclosing that and seeing if that's what she's interested in too. So that I'm not concealing this like, oh, well, why don't you come to my end of the table, and completely neglect and abdicate your needs and what your boundaries usually are on Sundays.
When you have higher awareness, you can understand the needs that you were trying to get met that you didn't know how to meet, and then navigate differently so you can make better choices. Hey everybody, it's Bianca.
Welcome back, Evolvers. It's Emilia.
A few episodes ago, actually I don't remember which episode it was, but there was a episode where we were talking about being walked over and being manipulated, and just how do you navigate other people? Because unfortunately, there are a lot of people who use not the greatest techniques to try to get people to do what they want. And the even more unfortunate truth is that it actually is effective. It is effective when you understand what makes a person feel bad and what they crave deeply, and kind of using that against them, for lack of a better phrase. And unfortunately, more people do this than I think we want to believe. And even more than that, most people don't know that they're conscious of it, or they're not conscious that they're doing it. So if you were to say you're being manipulative right now, they'd be like, no, I'm not that type of person. That's not something that I would do. And I think that's what trips people up so much. I was a person you could basically bend at your will. I was basically a puppet on strings, and you can get me to do whatever you wanted, because I wanted validation. I wanted love. I wanted significance. I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be accepted. And all of those are really beautiful at their core and destructive if you don't know how to set boundaries and to protect yourself and to understand the things that other people will do to people like that. It's why there's that notion that like nice people finish last. It's because it's actually true, but not for the reasons we think of. It's true because the quote unquote nice people don't set boundaries, and they don't do a lot of the things that we talk about already on this show. So number one, if you're not subscribed, please make sure you subscribe, because we talk about this in so many other episodes. What we're going to be diving into today is, how do you know, whether it's conscious or unconscious, if somebody is trying to manipulate you? What are the things to look out for? How do you know when it's happening? And what are some of the things that you can do to work through it and work against it? And Emilia mentioned something in that episode that I'm referring to called the DARVO effect. DARVO is an acronym describing a few different, I think it's 5. Yeah, DARVO is 5 letters. 5 different tools that people will utilize to manipulate. And what we're going to do in this episode is dive into what those things are. And at the end of this, you will have a game plan to be able to recognize it, and a couple of simple tools to utilize to be able to work against it and to protect yourself and to get the outcome that you want. So I'm going to pick your brain a little bit in this episode, okay?
Yeah.
Because this is something that I wish I had learned before, because I wouldn't have had half of the things happen to me that did if I knew how to use this. And I know for our listeners, they're probably like, give me the secret sauce, because they experience the same thing. Like, you and I talk to so many people, and so many of us fall victim to manipulation and to brainwashing and to unconscious and unintentional harm because other people are using these things. So, first and foremost, what is manipulation? I'm going to start there. What is manipulation?
Manipulation, the best way that I like to think about it, and the best way that clients have given me feedback, it lands. I'm not going to go into a whole illustrative story. Is I like to show contrast. It's just like anything, right? Like contrast is helpful to understand the definition because you understand what it is and you also understand what it's not. So let's show a little bit of contrast. And the contrasting is leadership. Leadership versus manipulation. Manipulation is concealing the intent so that one person, when you engage with them, they're able to come over to your end of whatever it is that you want or desire. In contrast, leadership is someone who wants or desires something. They expose that intent and they ask and give autonomy and choice for that other person to also say, is this something that you want? So for example, if I want to create plans with you, Bianca, I have the desire and interest to be, let's go out for lunch. Like I'm really, really craving a nice, yummy, let's just say hot table. I'm cold right now. So like I'm all for, or in the past, I was all for buffalo chicken, hot panini, hot table. Yummy, yum, yum. Right? Okay, boom. We got it going, right? Yum. If I really, really, really wanted that hot table and this wasn't conscious to myself, but I didn't want to go alone, right? Because something that you said a little bit earlier is that manipulation strategies and tactics, very few people actually know that they're doing this. And it's not on purpose. They're just trying to avoid pain and suffering that they're unaware of. It's not in their conscious mind. So let's say I have this deep fear of going to lunch alone because I might look stupid, right? Or something like that. And I'm craving a panini and I'm craving hot table specifically. Instead of going alone, I might unconsciously manipulate Bianca into seeing if she wants to go on this lunch date with me. Hey, Bianca, do you want to go to hot table on Sunday? Something as simple as that is manipulation. Because in a way, I'm concealing my actual intent. It's like, I don't want to go alone. I feel ashamed to like even say that. And then Bianca says, well, I kind of have plans. This is where the manipulation continues and gets deeper. Come on, we haven't seen each other in a while. What the hell? You know, like, I really miss you, blah, blah, blah. Like pretty much saying anything. And this is where you will say anything as a manipulator unconsciously to try to get that need met. And so while I've revealed my intention is to go to lunch, I have concealed my deeper intent, which is removing the pain and the fear from the equation of me going to lunch alone and getting only my needs met.
Because your initial intent was not to spend time with me. It was for you not to be alone. And because you know that I love quality time and that I miss you, I would likely end up going with you. So there's layers on layers underneath it.
Yeah, the probability. Whereas in contrast, if I were to shift into a leadership standpoint would look and sound like this. Hey, B, I know Sundays are your days to really make sure that you can have R&R. Honestly, same. And I'm like really craving some hot table and I am missing the buffalo chicken panini. And honestly, I'm fearful of going to lunch alone because I get really uncomfortable and I kind of look like an idiot just sitting there waffling down my giant panini down my face. And I know that makes other people uncomfortable, or at least that's a story that I'm telling myself. I get it if you have plans. However, I would love to have you join me if that's something that you're interested in. Here's what I'm thinking. Perfect. Get there at noon. I could swing by, pick you up, or if you want to take your own car, like blah, 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 right? Meet me there for that time and would love to have you join. Is that something that you're interested in? Or instead of a yes or no question, I would say, how aligned could this be for you? Or how aligned is this for you, right? See the difference between the conscious awareness. I still know that B misses me and still loves quality time. There's still a part of me that is recognizing that I have wants and needs. And maybe the sole focus isn't to go and see Bianca, but the sole focus is to get that need met. And I'm disclosing that and seeing if that's what she's interested in too. so that I'm not concealing this like, oh, well, why don't you come to my end of the table, and
Right.
completely neglect and um abdicate your needs and what your boundaries usually are on Sundays.
So what you're focusing on is you getting your need met and using me to make that need be met, and doing it in a way that is best for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you'll tell the person, "Oh, but I know you want to go and I know you like quality time." But you're not actually thinking about what's in the best interest of that person. You're just telling them a story that you know will probably make them do the thing that you want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Okay.
Wait a second. That's in leadership. It's not necessarily what you just described was a little bit more manipulation, right?
Manipulation.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I just wanted to
Yep.
clarify because, like,
Yep.
within leadership, and again, the biggest thing is the conceal and reveal of intent from my
Yes.
perspective. And it's for
Manipulation,
the
the intent.
outcome. Mm-hmm.
Yes. In manipulation, the intent is for the outcome of the person asking.
Mm-hmm.
In leadership, the intent is for the best outcome from all.
For the both. Yep. For all
Yes.
parties involved. And this is where
Okay.
one thing just I'm gonna throw out here where a lot of people, we've all heard of when it comes to relationships, like compromise is key. I call that absolute BS. I
Sure.
think it's integrate. And here's why. Because when you're compromising, there's some element of, and I know this is aggressive, but manipulation that's involved. Having studied dark psychology, having learned the ins and outs of human behavior, at this point in my academic career, I do believe that compromise is a form of manipulation at some level. I do believe that
Ooh.
integration is leadership, and integration is both sides expressing their needs and coming and getting creative to find a way that serves all parties involved. The we, the me, and the we all together. But that's totally side conversation. I just
Oh,
had to throw that
we're
in
going to
there.
do an episode on that. We definitely are going to do an episode on that. Oh, that's good.
Love it.
I agree. Okay. Now, in that manipulation, so we're not talking about leadership, we are talking about manipulation. So, in that manipulation, what people tend to do is what we're going to be talking about, which is the DARVO effect. So, DARVO is an acronym, DARVO. What is the DARVO effect? So, what does the acronym stand for? And then what actually are those things?
Hello, my name is Bree. So I would say my experience at Evolve has been absolutely amazing. I have learned and grown and done so many things that I didn't imagine that I'd be doing just over a year ago. So I'm really happy to be a part of the team, and I encourage anyone who has the opportunity to join. So this is an experience that I don't think I would have gotten anywhere else. So it's definitely unique, and there's so many like-minded people, whether it's on the team or in our community, that can be by your side and support you. So that is an awesome experience.
Okay. So the DARVO effect is a manipulation strategy that is deployed by the manipulator to the manipulatee. AKA, this is a strategy to get those needs met and to conceal the unconscious or the conscious, if you're an evil person, the conscious or unconscious intent, need, or removal of whatever pain, fear, suffering, etc. So this is a manipulation strategy to get those needs met while full well concealing those needs. And this, from my perspective, the DARVO effect has such a dense effect in so many people's worlds. And every single time that I share this to clients, they're like, oh my God. They say the same exact thing as you, B. I wish I learned this sooner, because so many of the cruddy things that have happened to me and the relationships that I've kept in my life that have made me worse of a person, have made me feel like crap about myself, and have contributed to a lesser quality of life is because these people in my life deploy the DARVO manipulation strategy again and again and again. And that's why it's super insidious, because it doesn't necessarily come out in a boastful manner. It can, but it's very, very sneaky, and it can be a very sly manipulative strategy.
You know what the other side of that coin is too? When you learn this, you recognize how many times you've unconsciously used it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's brutal. I've used this unintentionally, unconsciously. I've done it too. And when you have higher awareness, you can understand the needs that you were trying to get met that you didn't know how to meet, and then navigate differently so you can make better choices. So
yes, let's define it.
So let's define it. What is the
So-
DARVO effect? What
so
does
the DARVO
acronym stand for?
effect, the acronym stands for, so the D is deny. So this is when the perpetrator, aka the person who's manipulating, denies whatever wrongdoing that the person who is being manipulative or manipulated is accused of doing. So for example, I had a conversation with someone who I deeply care about recently, and she pretty much called out the DARVO effect to that person who was trying to manipulate her. So when she was, for lack of better words, this manipulator that she was talking to denied the fact that he conveniently omitted that he was an addict their whole relationship, their whole entire relationship, completely denied it. And that was the wrongdoing, the omission of a giant lie within the relationship.
Woof.
Not only did that deny happen, so he was denying in real time what she was pretty much not just accusing, she was letting him know, like, this never was shared within our relationship. For 7 years, you've been an addict and you never said anything. The A came into play because this person, my dear friend, called that out. What happened? The response was the A in the DARVO effect, the attack. The person who was trying to manipulate her started to attack her. And what the attack actually looks and sounds like is that manipulator attacks the other person, and they do it in a very sneaky way that like questions that person's mental health, their honesty or actions, in this case, which I've experienced tenfold, their memory. So this is like where the gaslighting starts to come in. And this is where it starts to get brutal. So then you have that person who's trying to call out the manipulator in real time. Like, wait a second, is my mental health unwell? Like, did I actually miss him or her saying that to me? Oh shoot, like, am I an honest person? Like, did I actually do that? That's where the gaslighting, self-gaslighting starts to come in. That's why it's so insidious. Reverse victim offender is essentially the R, the V, and the O. And this is where that perpetrator attempts to switch the freaking roles with that victim. So instead of being the manipulator, they literally try to claim that victim role. And this is the complete worst part from my perspective. They don't accept responsibility for their actions or the impact. They actually try to make that original victim the perpetrator. So this is what he had done. He had said, no, you're actually the one that never really made it feel safe for me to share this. And that's why blah, blah. It was like, whoa.
Oh,
yeah.
my
So
God.
I won't get into that, but I have heard that so many times, especially someone who has been taken advantage of for having a bad memory. The DARVO effect has happened. And B, I really appreciate you saying what you said, because when we learn this, that's a very obvious, explicit example, but so many of us are unconsciously doing this, right? To avoid our own pain, or maybe because we're gaslighting ourselves and we're really not conscious, we've been sleepwalking through life, or maybe we have shame, right? So I think that the tip to overcome this is to just start with awareness. I honestly don't think we should go much deeper into tactical strategies. I think we might have a follow-up episode on that, on how to respond and what to do, not only for the sake of time, but also that because this is so deep. So with that being said, what I'm going to say, and to wrap up this specific episode, you have been DARVO'd, and you likely have deployed the DARVO manipulation strategy unconsciously, unknowingly. Have grace and compassion for yourself and hold others accountable when you start to notice it. So my episode suggestion is, I actually don't have one for here. So what I'm going to say is based on this, I'm actually going to use episode 285, Motivation Monday, 3 surefire ways to feel more confident. Confidence roots in one's ability to call out one's own BS and the lack of truth we're living in. And I think we can do this to ourselves sometimes. And so, that's what I would recommend. B?
306, how to not get walked over. The DARVO effect we've all done it and we've all had it done to us. Now, to the extent that we've done it and the extent that it's been done to us is different. But self-awareness is a huge aspect. If I bring something up to a person, do they deny it? Do they try to tell me I didn't do that? Are they trying to tell me that what I'm thinking isn't the reality? Do they start to get really defensive? Do they start to get really angry whenever you tell them something? Do they start making themselves a victim? If any of those three things are happening, the DARVO effect is happening. If you start doing that, the DARVO effect is happening. And one of the best things you can do is say, I'm not acting in accordance with how I want to be. I need to take a minute and go take a breath and then come back and re-engage. That's the best piece of advice that I can give, and what I do in my own life and what I'll do with clients, what I'll have clients do.
I'm right there.
If you want more help with this, we are going to do another episode about tactics of how to overcome this more, but this is a good first start. If you want help in learning how to overcome this from others or with yourself on a more one-on-one basis, please reach out. Go to evolveventurestech.com/therapy. We have all of the information there of how to get involved with the therapy or the coaching programs that we offer. All right, everybody, you got this, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
All the love, everyone. Bye.